Good afternoon and welcome to FlossTube number 38. My name is Christine. I am CMD586 on Instagram, so follow me there if you are not already. Today is December 16th, 2019. We are a few days in our house. We're a few days away from my son coming home for Christmas break, and we are, of course, a little over a week until Christmas. I am still in my son's room filming. We have now fully moved into our new bedroom, which was the game room, and the game room has now become our bedroom, and so you don't see quite as many shelves as were in here last time, because the games and game table have now been moved into our old bedroom, and then we have some cleanup work to do on this room to make it my son's room. So I probably won't do this. Will probably be my last FlossTube for a while, until probably the end of January. I'm not probably going to try to film. Maybe early February. I'm not going to try to film while my son is here. There will be a lot of teenagers and young adults in and out of our house during that time, and it's just busy. And then if you've been with me for a while, you may recall that in the end of January, I don't really expect you to recall it, but in the end of January, I have a big local board gaming like hoedown thing that happens over a course of a weekend, and it's exhausting, and it kind of takes over my life for a few days, and I'm tired after it, and I'm doing prep work and stuff for it before. So that happens the last weekend in January. So you won't probably hear from me again until February. I may try to squeeze in a finish parade in January, but we'll see. So this will be the last you see of me until after the holidays. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, happy whatever it is you celebrate, and let's just get started. I want to give a couple of shout outs. The last couple of weeks I started watching Ra's Realm. I have watched her latest couple of videos, and I have watched I have gone back and since watched some of her early videos. There's a whole lot in the middle that I haven't watched, but Ra's Realm, RARA''S Realm, REALM. I will try to link her below, but you know how I am about that. I've been watching her, and she's great. So go give a visit to her. She's just did her 2019 wrap up where she shows her finishes and her WIPS and that sort of thing. And she's also been doing, which I haven't watched, she's also been doing this like Christmas countdown advent calendar-y type thing, which is short videos, but I haven't watched that. So, but go check out Ra's Realm. She's a lovely person, and I really like the things she stitches. So go check her out. Also, a big shout out to my friend Susanna Rosenkrantz, who she was Rogue's Ace on YouTube, and her channel name has been changed to Rebuilding Rosie. And please go visit her. She had done, she's who I have referred to on many occasions as my Stitchy twin. She had done videos before, and she has wiped those off of her channel. In the last couple of years, she has gone through an awful lot, just an awful lot, more than I hope anybody ever has to go through in a very short time. And she has come back to FlossTube. I'm so happy that she feels that that she's ready to do that again. I've been, waiting for her to feel like she could come back, and She has 2 videos on her channel right now. One is FlossTube, with, you know, talks about her WIPS and shows some of her finishes and stitching plans and all the standard stuff, and gives a very like brief overview of where she's been and what she's been through recently, but really very, very surface. And then she has another video that's longer and gives all of the details of what's happened to her in her life recently. So, but she's a lovely person. She stitches lovely things, and I'm just so happy that she feels able to come back and do something as, you know, don't want to say frivolous, but, you know, FlossTube is like an extra thing, you know, and when you're going through a lot of other stuff, FlossTube is something that can go by the wayside, and I'm really pleased that she is back to a place in her life and her health, etc., where she feels like she's able to do something like FlossTube, and that she's able to stitch and stuff like that. So please go say hi to Rebuilding Rosie, Susanna Rosencrantz on YouTube. I will try to link her below. So those are my shout outs. I have no haul. I have ordered some things. Frankly, lately I have not been pleased with the state of my stitching and pile of WIPs and stuff like that. I need to do, I've talked about this a lot recently, but I need to do something different because I really need to get my number of WIPs down. I'm happy to say I'm down to 48 now. So last year at this time, I believe when I did my WIP parade last year, I was at 50 WIPs, and there is no judgment. I mean, there's no number in my head. Like, I might have thought 100 WIPs would be fine. But for me, it's just I need to be working on things more frequently. I need to not have such an enormous pile that it feels like nothing is ever going to get done. And in particular, I need to not have quite so many very large WIPs. So I need to do something different. That's something I need to figure out. And so I have been buying less because, you know, those are just things that are sitting there waiting to be started, and they're not being started, or if they are being started, they're making my number even larger. So I'm now down to 48 WIPs because I finished something since last we spoke. So I'm very happy about that. But I need to find a way to get things knocked down more. I still need to allow myself the occasional start, but I need to knock things down more. So I need to come up with some sort of system. I have a lot of ideas, but the problem with things like rotations and stuff is I just won't stick to them. I stitch what I want. I do what I want. And that's fine. But I don't necessarily feel as good about it as I would like to feel about it. So, I mean, I think I'd like to be in the realm of like 20 to 30 WIPs at the most. And so I am a long ways away from that. But there's no way I can say I won't start anything until I get there. So I just have to like somehow manage this. Maybe not start anything until I am, you know, finish 2 things and start 1. And I definitely need to make sure, at least for a while, until I get some rather large projects done, I really need to be like starting small things. So small to medium-sized things that I can like, okay, if I sat down and really worked on this, I could have this done within a couple of weeks. So I've said all this before. But anyway, so I have not bought anything. However, Christmas is coming, and I did give my husband a wish list, so I think I'm getting some things. But I made sure that the things I put on my wish list for him that are in the cross-stitch realm, first off, I put some things on my wish list that were not cross-stitch. And those things I put on my wish list that are cross-stitch, I made sure that they were small. So, so that won't bother me too much. And I have ordered some things. I placed an order I ordered some PDF patterns on Etsy this morning that I won't share with you because they're for my husband and son. There's 4 of them, and I'll share them with you when I'm done with them. Or when the secret's out or whatever. I ordered 2 things that are very much for my husband and 2 things that are very much for my son. And probably I can show, when I get started on the things for my son at some point, I can show you those. Because I really don't think he watches my FlossTube. If he did, he certainly wouldn't tell me, but I really doubt that he watches my FlossTube at all. But my husband does. He's required to. I poke him and I say, "Are you caught up to your wife?" And so I have to like not show you those things until I actually do them. But anyway, so I did that, and I also placed my first ever order with 1884 Stitchery. Bendy Stitchy, you know, she's been designing, and her designs, like, they're getting better and better. And I've liked all of her designs, but I have been able to resist purchasing them. It's been a near thing with a couple of them, but she did just her latest design, Hildy's Yule. That might be the title of it. It's something like that. Hildy is in the title and Yule's in the title. It's her one with the witch and her vampire boyfriend who are celebrating Christmas. Like, that is just so far up my alley that there's just no way. So anyway, so I knew that her stuff was available on 1884 Stitchery, and I haven't ordered with 1884 Stitchery before, and I wanted to. So I did. I ordered that and a couple of other patterns, and these are physical things, so I will show them to you when they arrive. I ordered 3 things, including Hildy's Christmas stitch. So I'll show you those when they arrive. And I'm thrilled to have finally placed an order with McKenna, because she's a lovely person. She's an amazing person. She is who she is, and she's the same person in person as she presents on YouTube, and she's very brave, and yeah, I just really like McKenna, and it gave me some pleasure to order from her lovely shop. So, because I like to support everybody that I can, with what little money I have, relatively speaking. Okay, so those things I'll show you probably with my next video. Those will arrive. Okay, so I worked on 4 things while in the last several weeks since you saw me last, and I did have a finish. I think I will start an order. I believe this is the order. When last we spoke, I was working on Gracious Era. Dimensions Gold. This is a beautiful project, and I don't think I'll show you a picture of where I was when last you saw it, because I don't think I made that much progress after I left you, but here it is now. I've basically in the last I've been basically working along this side. I'm just sort of working my way over, so it's beautiful. I love this project. I am doing mine on 36 count Ariel by Picture This Plus, I believe. It's definitely a 36 count. Yes, it's Edinburgh 36 count Ariel by Picture This Plus. So I, as per my usual, not always, but usual, I did replace the fabric in it. And I love that project. That's a big one, but I love it. So next, I think, I can't remember which one was next. It doesn't matter. You don't care. So one of the next projects I worked on is Halloween in Quilt by Corey E. Batakori. I am probably butchering that. I am sorry, but Halloween in Quilt. I am doing this on 46 count, and this piece of fabric is way too big, way bigger than it needs to be. Shoot. I want to say it's Under the Sea. I think it's Under the Sea Fabrics. I bought it at StitchCon. It's 46 count. It's my first time working on 46 count. It's Autumn, I believe, is the color. And I'm working on this block up here and the picture does not do its justice. And oh, let me show you where I was when last you saw it, because I did make significant progress. I really got going on the house. So there is where I am. I love this house. I love the way it's turning out. It's beautiful. 46 count though is a real chore to work on. I use the sewing method, and it's very difficult to use the sewing method with this fabric just because the holes are so tight. There's not enough space. Even doing over 2, this is 1/2, all DMCs. Even doing over 2, there's just not quite enough space between the 2 holes, between your start hole and your destination hole. Those who do the stitch sewing method will probably understand what I mean. Those who don't may not. But there needs to be a comfortable amount of space between your starting hole and your destination hole to slide the needle through. And there's not. So I'm doing a little bit of, I think what they call continental, which is making my stitches not quite like I normally make them, so that the length between the stitches, between the space between the holes is longer. It's longer on the back. I can kind of show you what I mean. So I don't know if I've done it consistently, but yeah. So on the house, I've really tried to do that, simply because it allows for longer, I can't see what you're seeing, so I hope you're seeing this. It allows for longer stitches on the back, which gives it a little reinforcement. Actually kind of makes your stitches maybe a little bit neater. It uses a lot more thread, but you know, I'm using so little amount on this, relatively little amount on this project, and these are not hand dyed, these are just DMCs, that I don't mind that. So I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's like longer stitches. So instead of the usual like vertical or horizontal, there's these long diagonals on the back. And that makes the sewing method work just a little bit better. It gets a little awkward in some ways, but it does make some of the stitching easier. But so 46 count is not my thing. 40 count I think is maybe my max that I'm comfortable with. It is really turning out fabulous though. It's looking really great, and so no regrets. It's just, this is a learning experience for me. 46 count is not my thing. 36 still remains my absolute favorite. So the next thing I got out, I had started this last month. I mean, I think in November, one of my goals was to work on as projects that I hadn't touched. So Gracious Sarah and Halloween and Quilts and this Nest project were all things I hadn't touched in 2019. I really wanted to touch as many projects as possible. I did not succeed in that goal, because then I got to where I really wanted to get it finished, and so I decided to get something out that I was calling to me, that I knew I could get a finish on. So, but this is another project I didn't believe I had touched in 2019. It's Victorian Charm by Dimensions Regular, not a Dimensions Gold. Here's where it was when last you saw it. And here it is now. I'm doing mine on, I believe, it is 28 count, navy. I believe it's an even weave instead of the stiff Aida that came with it. So here I am now. I did more than 1,000 stitches. A lot of them were, I'm going to fold this so it gives it a little, so it's a little thicker so you can see better. A lot of what I did was the sky, were bits of the sky. Didn't have that much of the sky done before. I love the way that looks. And then I did put in a pretty good amount of work on the house too. But a lot of the stitches I put in were the sky. So I love this. It's a fun, easy project to work on. My threads are on this amazing, look at all those colors. My threads, I'm keeping them on this RTO thread palette that I got for like $10 off of eBay. I love thread palettes. They're super fun for me to work with. especially for kits. I tend to not use them anymore for DMC only projects because now I have my DMC master set and I don't want to put all my threads, I don't want to consign all my threads to a single project where they're basically untouchable. So after that, I really wanted to finish. So I got out my Who's There, of which again I did not bring out the picture, but it doesn't matter because I made a finish. And I'm going to be giving this away, not the project of course, but I'm going to give away the pattern. Here's the thing, when I was working on this, okay, well, I'll just show you where it was when last you saw it. As you can see, I made big progress. I bought this kit. It came with the Crossstitch collection fabric and all of the Weeks Dye Works flosses. I bought it off of eBay, and I bought it for the jack-o'-lantern, and I thought, well, that owl is kind of boring compared to the jack-o'-lantern, but that is not true. The owl is wonderful. And just as good as the jack-o'-lantern. So I'm going to, yeah, he's beautiful, isn't he? I love him. He's all curled up from me holding him tight in my hand because that's the sewing method. There is a crap ton of backstitch on this. I just started at the top and worked my way down, and really what took forever was those leaves, outlining and veining those leaves. But there's a lot of backstitch on this in 2 different colors of brown, but it's worth it. It's amazing. So if you would like to be entered in to win this pattern, I'd like to know how you feel about backstitch. I hope you like it. I hope you like doing backstitch because there's a lot of it in this pattern. And let me show you a picture of what it looks like with it finished without the backstitch. So the backstitching is absolutely essential. It just looks completely different with the backstitch. It makes an enormous difference. Okay, so I will send you the pattern. I'm going to send you my leftover threads, but not because you should try to use them, because you should not, because there are not enough of them. I promise you, I don't believe, even though it looks like there's quite a bit left of some of these, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 of the threads in the leaves that didn't get used that much, there is not enough of anything left to use. But these are all Weeks Dye Works, and I'd like you to be able to compare them, to look at what they look like and find threads from your stash or DMC substitutions or whatever and use them. I think that this pattern would be just fine in DMCs. Some of these threads are significantly variegated, but most of them are not. I don't think there's any reason to feel like you need fancy threads for this project. But I will send you the pattern, and I will send you what is left of my threads, because there's not enough that I want to mess with any of them, you know, where I want to take them and save them in my stash for anything. There's a good chunk of this orange left, but I don't believe it's enough to complete that pumpkin. This is the main color on the pumpkin. And even though it looks like there's a significant amount left, there's really not that much left. So anyway, I will send you the leftover threads and the pattern. So, and I will send to anybody in the world. So please enter whoever you are and wherever you are. I will send you the pattern and the leftover threads, and you can stitch it yourself. So I'd just like to know, if you do not say giveaway, etc., all the usual rules, just if you want me to know that you are interested in this pattern, let me know that how you feel about backstitch. If you put the word backstitch anywhere in your answer, that will catch my attention and you will be entered into the drawing. And so the drawing will be whenever I do my next video, maybe sometime in January, more likely sometime in early February. So, oh, and I did want to say I'm using, for this project, I did use one of my few project bags I have. This one I purchased from my friend Carla Eldridge, who has, I believe she still has an Etsy shop. She's kind of, I haven't seen much of her lately. She hasn't been doing FlossTube videos. So, Carla, if you're watching this, where are you? I miss you. But anyway, I bought this lovely project bag from Carla on her Etsy shop. So, so there is that. So that is all of my WIPS and my finish. Books. I've read several books since last we spoke. The only one I'm going to tell you about, though, is Ready Player One. I finally got around to reading Ready Player One. I feel like I'm one of the last people, but maybe you haven't read Ready Player One. It's a fun book. It is, I mean, most people know about it. It's there's a movie. I didn't see the movie, but I've heard the movie isn't very good, or that the movie is very different from the book. In any case, if you grew up in the 80s or have strong, or were a young adult in the 80s or whatever, have strong, like, you know, if you developed during the 80s like I did, I was born in 74, so the 80s is like my childhood and young adulthood. You should probably read this book. It is not just for kids who grew up in the 80s playing video games. I played some video games, but I was not big into video games. But it is about video games, Dungeons and Dragons, movies, music, books, everything, all of the pop culture from the 80s is present in this book, and it was really fun. Plus there was a good story too. So if you haven't read it yet and you have a strong connection to the 80s era, you should consider reading this book. It certainly doesn't take place in the 80s. It just has a whole lot of like 80s references in it, and some of them are pretty like in depth. So yeah, it was very entertaining. I really enjoyed it. So that's the only thing I'm going to share with you about books. I have been doing some crocheting, but I haven't finished anything. I've been plugging away at a blanket, which takes a long time, and this one takes longer than the last one I was working on. And I've been poking away at a couple of other things, but I've decided I don't want this channel to be all about crochet, so I'm not going to show you anything crochet unless I finish something. Which is another reason I need to sort of get control of my cross-stitch life, is that I need some balance. I love to cross-stitch, and cross-stitch is like my first love. If I had to pick one thing, cross-stitch would be it. But I also, like, I love to cook, I love to read, I love playing board games, and I have a newfound love of crochet. And I need to be able to do all of these things, so I can't have, for my own, like, emotional well-being, I can't have 48 WIPS. I need to have a lot less than that, because although I realize rationally that I don't need to feel bad about it, it weighs on me. It just doesn't work for me. So I need to think of a system to knock it down that's not too rigid, but that still helps me get things done and get them out of my WIP pile. But anyway, enough about that. Oh, yes. Okay, so I did want to say I'm not going to do a WIP parade next year. I usually do in January. I do a finish parade, and then I do a WIP parade. I'm not going to do a WIP parade this year because my attitude is not very good about it. I don't like, I like my WIPs. I do not like how many I have, and I just don't really feel like real positively about doing that. So I'm really hoping by next year I will feel better about it and then do it. And maybe I won't wait until next January. Maybe I will wait until like I've had a significant turnover and feel better about it. So I will be doing a finish parade in January/February. But I will not be doing a WIP parade. So I did want to say that. But the other thing I am going to be doing, and I really want to promote this because it's fun and she's a lovely lady and it's free, and and I think everybody should get on board with it, is the Magical Mystery Stitch-Alongs. There is a Facebook group. It's Guldra Stuffier, I believe is her name, and she has a blog, but she has a Facebook group. It's called Magical Mystery Stitch-Along, and I have talked about this several times in the past. She does, I think all of her patterns are free. She basically does these stitch-alongs all throughout the year, and I don't participate in most of them, but she does some like short-term sprint type mystery stitch-alongs at a few points in the year, and I miss some of them, but the one I have kept up with every year so far in the last few years is her New Year's Eve mystery Sal. And basically she puts out, this year it's a little bit bigger than usual, and it's structured a little bit different. There's more parts. Those parts are still manageable. They're like 90 stitches each, but it's a 75 by 75. Her others have been like 55 by 55, so it is bigger. Basically she tells you some details about it. It's only whole stitches, no back stitching, no specialty stitches, and she releases bits and pieces of the pattern on a regular basis. This year, she has released the pre-stitch, which I have not bothered with. I don't know when I'll start it. I usually put the push on to do it like during New Year's. And so I get a late start and then I cram it out. This is a little tougher because it's bigger, so I may try to do I may try to get involved earlier, but I will be doing it. It won't be my last finish of the year. It will be my first finish of next year. But she has released the pre-stitch, and there's an overview site. If you join her Magical Mystery Stitch Along Facebook group, you can have access to all of this. This is totally free. And there's a link to her, in there is a link to her website that gives an overview of the stitch along and tells you what you need, like what size fabric you need for what count, etc. Tells you that it's going to be 75 by 75 square. She's going to release the patterns over the course of several days, and then at the end she'll release a pattern for the back. So if you want to make a two-sided pillow or a biscornu or something like that, then you can do so. This time she has suggested 4 shades of the same color. She has suggested blue and then 2 shades of DMC Etoile, but there's a lot of flexibility in that. She tells you kind of what you need, and then you can like choose your own. So I like blue, so I will probably go with her 4 shades of blue suggestion. We'll see. But you can look at what she suggests and kind of make your own decisions. And you don't even have to use the Etoile or any kind of metallics. She just makes these suggestions. So anyway, she's already released what she calls the pre-stitch pattern, and on the 21st, which is part 1, and on the 21st she will release a second pre-stitch pattern. I haven't done either. I haven't done the first one. I probably won't do the second one until later. And then on the 27th, the weekend, I believe that is that must be Friday. She's in Australia though. Wait. Am I mixing people up? Maybe she's not in Australia. I can't remember. Anyway, she's releasing it on the 27th, at whatever time zone that is for her. And on the 27th, she's going to start releasing the other patterns one at a time. And it's truly mystery in that you will be jumping around. You won't be starting off in one corner and working to the next, etc. You will be jumping around. And each piece is about 90 stitches. And then they're including the pre-stitches. It's a total of 32 patterns. So I believe the final patterns will be released at some point on New Year's Day, I think is the plan. But anyway, it is super fun. I love it. I love like getting on the group and posting like every time I finish one. What usually happens with me, and I do treat them Like, I do it in the mystery way. No matter how far I'm behind, I do one part at a time. But what usually happens with me is I am several behind, and then I like cram it out, and I do a bunch of them in short order, because it doesn't take me that long to do 90 stitches. It takes a little longer when they're kind of spread out. But anyway, it's great fun. The patterns are great. They're totally free. It's fun camaraderie, like showing your hourly, your, for me it's kind of hourly, but I believe she releases the patterns like every couple of hours, every few hours. It varies a little with each mystery cell. So, but it's really fun, and she's a lovely lady, and I get a lot of fun out of it, and so I will definitely be doing that this year. I was bummed because she did one in the fall in November, and I completely spaced on it, and I would have liked to have done that, but I didn't. Her old stitch alongs are still available. You can still get the patterns for free and still do them. I like to do the event and get it done. It's one of the few like stitch alongs that I'll actually do, because I just can't long-term stitch alongs. I just don't have the discipline to keep up with them, and then I end up feeling bad. So, but hers I can. So I think that's about all I have to say. My son is coming home on Saturday. We're all very excited about that. I'm a little nervous. I don't know. I'm a little nervous. Like, I went through a lot of changes in early college, and my son is very like independent, and which is a good thing. And as far as I can tell, everything's going well, but I feel like he's going to drop some bomb on us. And I hope I'm wrong. But I feel like he could absolutely say anything. And as far as I can tell, he's doing just fine, and he's signed up for next semester, and I think everything's going fine. But you just never know. College is a big transition period. Young adulthood, it's like there's a lot that happens and a lot of choices that get made, and as a parent, you just don't have much in the way of control of that, nor should you. So we just have to kind of wait and see and have faith. So that's where I'm at, and we are working on getting his room ready for him, and we're very much looking forward to seeing him. I'm very excited that he's going to be home in a matter of days. I'm hoping that there's not a lot of stress added, not a lot of like bad surprises and that kind of thing. But anyway, you have to let go, and that's what we're working on. So anyway, it was good to see you all. Please enter my drawing, and if you want that, don't say giveaway, be 18 or over, and be anywhere in the world. Just tell me how you feel about backstitching, or even just mention the phrase backstitching in your comment, and I will enter you into my drawing. So love y'all. I will talk to you, and talk to you when I talk to you. Bye.